Hello, fellow explorers. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Lawrence Ajay. You are watching me from Ghana. I am a poultry farmer, a very passionate one for that matter. Today, we're going to go through the secrets of stress management. Yes, stress management. I'm pretty sure some of you will be asking, stress. Yes, stress. It is not only humans that undergo stress due to the nature of their jobs or due to the challenges in their family or the weight, confronting them when it comes to this world and all of that. Our birds also undergo stress. Like all living things, a chicken has a limited energy reserve with which to cope with day-to-day life and has just enough extra energy to adjust to minor unusual events or adapt to small changes. Stress occurs when events or changes are so numerous to these our birds that they rapidly use up the chicken's energy reserve, leaving too little for the bird's normal daily needs and reducing its resistance to diseases and infections. Most of these stresses cause no illness at all, okay? But some of them also does, especially when the bird has, a very weak immune system, okay? Once they have weak immune system, it opens up for internal parasites like worms, which originally aren't diseases and, infections and what have you. But because of that, it weakens the immune system of the birds, and for that matter, the birds' natural resistance to certain diseases, becomes exposed, and that alone opens the door for other bigger, diseases that the birds cannot resist anymore because their immune system is, compromised. As a farmer, you should know that no matter how natural resistance a bird has, stress can reduce its resistance to an extent. So as a farmer, you should also know that stress cannot be avoided. It is very normal in every chicken's life, okay? But then, as a farmer, you should also know that there are certain measures that you need to put in place in order for you to win against too much stress when it comes to your birds, all right? Especially when handling these birds. When handling your birds, you should have at the back of your mind that they do not have the shock absorbers to absorb too much or excessive stress, all right? Stress management is about being a very good steward to your birds or your chickens. You understand? You ensure that adequate measures, proper measures are taken. Cleanliness or clean drinkers, very dry, litter if you are using a litter system, ventilation, okay? Not only that, not contaminated food. I mean uncontaminated food and then uncontaminated water. You make sure that if the water you are giving them, you yourself as a farmer, you cannot drink it, please do not give it to them, okay? Make sure their food is, good, okay? Their food is good so that you do not serve them, overserve the food. Did I say food? You do not overserve them the feed and then you come back and say, this morning you still have leftover from yesterday's serve, so continue, and then you keep piling it up, you'll be contaminating it. So you have to give them according to the required weight when it comes to the feeding. As a farmer, you need to make sure that you don't overstress your birds with improper medication, okay? You make sure the medication you are giving to these birds are the right medication. It is better you take stress management seriously, because handling these birds gently is so important to them than putting up a fancy uh, coop for them. It is so important to handle them with care, gently, so that your birds are always calmer. Your birds are not always aggressive and what have you. Because the slightest thing is getting them stressed. And once they are stressed, it reduces their resistance to a lot of diseases, weakens their immune system as well. Birds that are handled with care, gently, they are more resistant to infections, diseases, and what have you. And they are mostly birds that has better and then strong immune system. Okay, if you don't handle these birds with proper care, they are always having immunity issue. Their immune system is always weak. You enter the pen and they are always down. You can see that this one. And also, farmers out there, conditioning is another technique of stress management, especially when you make some managerial changes. Okay, you have to condition them gradually. Okay, for example, you have moved them from drinkers, the conventional drinkers or traditional drinkers, to maybe drinkers. Okay, you make the process gradual so that the effect on them wouldn't be more than necessary. It should be only a minor effect on the birds. Okay, so in as much as you have these nipple drinkers that are new and then they are running, water is running through all the nipples, you do not just take away the conventional, or let's say traditional old drinkers that the birds are used to. You make sure you take away the old drinkers gradually. If it Somebody may be asking, why is this man taking his time to take us through all these things? And some people will be seeing it as boring and then all that. Do not worry. This is not for those people. This is for people who understand that, because veterinarians willing to treat chickens these days are few and sometimes very far from our farms. It is very necessary for every farmer to understand some of these measures, some of these mechanisms, okay, so that before you even go very far to your veterinary, you understand one or two things, and then you start to apply them as a first aid before you even go in and then bring them. Now let's talk about some common stresses in our chickens. These ones are usually minor. These ones are usually minor. Unusual or sudden motions stresses up our birds. Okay, loud noise, sudden loud noise stresses our bird. Contaminated feed, okay, or spoiled feed also stresses up our birds. It is very necessary for you to know. So your birds do not like these things, and these ones are very common, and it has minor, effects on them. Okay, these very ones. Nutritional deficiencies due to inadequate breeder flock diet. Okay, it is also one of the minor stresses. Extremely high egg production. Yes, some farmers do not know how this extremely high, egg production stresses up these birds. They don't know. So I know some of them, put certain medications in their food sometimes, so to get them to lay more, faster, and all of that, bigger and all of that. Some of these things does stress up the birds as well. So let's take some of the moderate stresses of these chickens. Okay, these ones moderately affect them. Okay, once the floor is extremely chilled, or let's say the coop is extremely chilled or overheated, it stresses them up as well, especially within the first 1 or 2 weeks in the lives of these birds. Extremely rapid growth, especially with broilers, extremely rapid growth also affects them, it stresses them up. This one is so important. Being transported also stresses them up, and then being moved from one chicken house to the other, like we did these very ones. These very ones, as you see, we brooded them from a different place, and then we transported them to this very place. Okay, and when that happened, it really stressed them up a lot. Okay, extreme changes in weather or temperature, especially when you are in this, dry season, summer season, the place can get really hot. In some cases, you have to fix, you know, fans to get the place to a normal temperature for them. Too much heat also affects them. In some cases, you have to use a different technique. You have to take their feed out. Okay, you have to take their feed out at least for 3 hours, especially if they are young. Let's say the first 3 weeks thereabout. Okay, in some cases the sun is very hot around 2 o'clock, around 3 o'clock, later around 12 o'clock. Okay, so from 12 to 3, you take their feet off them, and then they use only water to take care of their system, to hydrate, so that they wouldn't have internal burning. Okay, the feed itself, once they consume it, they require some heat to convert it, and then the sun too is causing the coop to be very hot. So imagine heat plus heat, what will happen? They will be burning inside. Sometimes you enter your coop and realize that there are just randomly dead fowls or chickens around. You don't understand. I'll make a video to just explain step by step how this is very important and how you can apply it. All right, and then of course the method of keeping their water cool, not cold, not ice water, cool. All right, warm water is not good for these bears. Warm water is not good for these bears. So when your environment or the temperature changes and the water becomes hot, what you can do as a farmer is that you can drop some few ice cubes into their reservoir to cause the water coming through the nipples or the drinkers, very cool for them, because their system is burning, the sun too is burning. And so if you don't take measures, a lot of things can go wrong for you. All right. Sanitary litters, feeders, and of course litter. Okay, you have to make sure that your drinkers are being washed every day, on daily basis. Okay, the feeders too, sometimes you wash it, and then of course the litter too, you change it for them periodically. All right, maybe 2 months, 3 months, depending, to see how bad it has become. Change it for them. Internal or external parasites also stresses up our birds. Internal parasites, like I've mentioned, like the worms and all that, so you need to deworming them. Okay, and then of course proper ventilation. If you have ventilation issues, your birds are always stressed up. Vaccination also one stress factor or stress phase the birds also go through. Okay, that is why after vaccination we allow them to go through the plain water to calm down their nerves. Exhibition. Now, what do we mean by? Sometimes you go to certain farms and then they don't allow you entry to where the bears are. you may not understand. Okay, now when the birds see different colors of clothing, it stresses them up. That is why if you notice, when you go to the market to buy chicken, sometimes they are exhibited and then they are in a cage, and then you choose, oh, I want this one is big, give it to me. Just monitor their lifestyle, and then when you come back to a proper farmhouse, monitor their lifestyle as well. They are always stressed because thousands of people are passing every second. They are seeing them, they are also seeing them. Okay, so they are stressed. So as a farmer, if you expose your birds to multi colors or multicolored persons on daily basis, are stressing them up. Are stressing them up. And it's very important and very wise for you as a farmer to have at least one or two different, working kits that you are going to be using. Maybe you are going to be using brown. You use brown throughout. When you come in, they know it is you. They are familiar with you. Not coming today with white, tomorrow yellow, tomorrow next black, the following day red, and then green. No, you don't have to do that. Now let's talk about some serious stresses in the bird's life. Okay, first of all, you should know as a farmer, as a proper farmer, you should know that overcrowding is a very severe, stress factor for the bird. Why? Because it can lead to motility. You wake up one morning and the birds are dead, some of them, just like these ones you are seeing. This one was caused due to a power outage here in Ghana. In our local parlance, we call it light off, okay, or let's say blackout. Once you have blackout, you make sure that you go check on your birds and then separate them, provide them with some necessary measures. If not, they'll overcrowd, they'll step on each other, and then the weaker ones down there will not make it by morning, and you don't want that. Extreme heat is also a very serious stressor for the birds. Extreme heat, okay? You yourself, a farmer, you enter, you realize that, hey, Charlie, I'm feeling hot. Even you yourself, you, okay? It is very, very, very challenging for these birds during that time. And then, of course, nutritionally imbalanced feed. Sometimes changing the brands of the feed can be really stressful for the bears. So you're using kujis or cow dyes, as some people, pronounce it. You're using cow dyes or kujis, and then you go to buy, and then the vendor says there is no cow dyes or no kujis. I say, okay, then give me ASA. They say, oh, okay, then you give me GAFA, or give me what is available. Give me that one. So long as it is feed, let me just go feed them. No, it doesn't work that way. Okay, if you are using one particular feed, you continue, because the composition of each brand is different. Okay, the composition is different. Even the salt content, the level of salt in each brand is completely different. So when you change it for them all the time like that, it stresses them up. So as a farmer, you should know all of these things, so that when something like that is happening on your farm, you quickly react to it, especially if your vets are very far away from you. Okay, now let's talk about the very severe stresses of the bird or in the bird's life. When you combine different chicken of various ages, combining chickens of various ages, chicken that are 4 weeks, they are mixed up with 10 weeks chicken, 20 weeks chicken mixed up with 34 weeks chicken. We don't do that. This is severe. You don't even try it. Okay, we don't try it. Inadequate feeder or drinker space. Inadequate feeder or drinker space. Hey, this is severe. No, this is severe. You have to make sure that your feeders are adequate, your drinkers are adequate. Everybody is drinking water when they want to drink water. Everybody is eating food when they want to eat food. You make sure you make that provision for them. And then you make your birds go lengthy periods without food. Maybe you don't want to save your farm and your investment. You don't allow them to go lengthy periods without food, like 3 hours no food, 4 hours no food. No, the same happens to water. 3 hours no water, 4 hours no water. No. You see, these birds, they cannot stay for that long without water. Okay, they cannot stay for that long without water, unless of course you are going to administer some form of medication that requires you to give them water break. For instance, you are administering gumoro. You want them to feel very tasty so that the following morning, once they see water, they will rush to it. You understand? Once they see water, they will rush to it. And for that matter, you want to take the water off them. But it is a very severe stressor for these birds. Don't let them go longer period of time without water or without food. As a farmer, you have to pay attention to these following stress behaviors. Okay, you have to know how your birds behave so that whenever there is a change, you can easily identify, especially when there is loose watery droppings. Once you see loose watering droppings, that means there is something wrong. Okay, stress in itself is a sign of disease that is about to affect either a chicken or the entire flock. So sometimes you pick up your birds, okay, you pick them up and then you realize that instantly they poop. Watery dropping. That is a very bad sign, negative sign that there is something wrong with the bird. Okay, there's something wrong with the bird. Either there is something wrong with the food that you are giving the bird, or there's something wrong with the drinking water you are providing for the bird. So you take care of that, okay? Or there is a digestive disorder, and pay attention. And then of course, the next one, okay, we are still talking about behavioral stress, okay? So the next one is labored breathing. So you see, this is caused by crowding. Sometimes you see them panting, panicking, and all of that. Okay, once your bird is going through this, it simply means that they are overcrowding themselves too much. And for that matter, they are panicking, and it means they have respiratory problems. They have respiratory problems, which is caused by too much dust. So you don't have to keep a dusty, coop. Your coop has to be ammonia fumes free. Okay, when there is too much dust on the coop, around the coop, it makes breathing in very difficult for these birds. So when there is respiratory distress, it simply means that the coop is too dusty. The coop is too dusty, and you must dust this coop. No matter how huge your farm is, you must dust this coop, okay, so that your birds will not experience these respiratory challenges. So as a farmer, you should understand some of these things, especially when it comes to their feeding and then their drinking. When a bird is stressed, it affects their feeding and then their drinking as well. Normally a bird should visit the feeder and the drinkers, softly, okay, to drink very little, to eat very little, but then they do it on shortly basis, periodically. You understand? Those behind me, you can see some are resting, some are eating. Within a shortest period of time, some of them will come back and then they continue to eat here and there. So as a farmer, you should make sure that you understand the mechanism. Yes, so when it happens that way, you have to also be smart as a farmer to understand why the birds are doing what they are doing. Especially when you move into the pen and then you see all the birds moving from one side to the other, you check their activities. They are flapping their wings and all of that. It means they are okay. They are fantastic. But when you move in there, you see them standing at one place, they are not moving, their activity level is so low and what have you. It means there is probably a cause for stress in there, and you must check it out. All right. Thank you for enjoying today's section. It's been awesome. Do not forget to comment, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you are watching from YouTube, subscribe. If you are watching from TikTok, please follow the page and share to your friends so that a lot of people can learn a thing or two about farming. Once again, it has been a plumb pleasant pleasure as well as a privilege. Thank you so much for sticking around. I'm still Lawrence again. Thank you.